Hey everyone, so today I am going to do a quick tutorial for you guys. I am going to explain to you how to draw whiskers in 3 ways. So I'm focusing on colored pencil now, but this is also applicable for graphite, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to do that with these 3 tools. I have this right here, I have this right here, and then I have this one. So I'm going to start off with the method that I think is the least handy, and I'm going to end with my favorite method, and I hope you'll find it informative. So let's get started. So I have put down 3 rectangles and I've colored 2 of them in. This one is done with nougat and this one is done with burnt umber. So the top half of the rectangles are burnished. So this is a very dense layer of colored pencil, and this is just a light layer, and I'm going to demonstrate these 3 ways of drawing whiskers on both halves so you can see what kind of a difference it makes. So let's get started with the first method, which is the gel pen. So I have been using this for a long time. This is the Sakura Jelly Roll pen. So it's a pen with white ink, and you can add it on top of your colored pencil or your graphite drawings. So let's see how this thing works. So what I first do is just test it on my hand to see if it works. I always do this, and it's actually pretty hard to get off, but I think it's handy to do. This is my surface, so this is my fur. And I'm going to add some whiskers on top of this piece of fur. So what you have to do with the Jelly Roll pen is to keep it quite vertically. If you hold it too diagonal, the ink won't come out. So you'll have to hold it quite vertically like this, and then you can add. Test it again. It doesn't always work right away. And then you can add these lines. So you can pretty easily draw whiskers this way, especially if you burnished your colored pencil. So on a burnished surface like this, where the colored pencil is pretty dense, the white will show up pretty white, as you can see. So this is a fun way to draw whiskers. But if you want to use it on a lighter surface, or on a lighter color, or on a lighter layer of colored pencil, it won't work as good. So as you can see, you almost can't see this. So I would recommend this for very dark layers, very dense layers of colored pencil. But there's an other downside to this, and that is that this ink is not archival. So it will start to look yellow over time, and therefore I wouldn't recommend this if you want to sell the work you create. But for studies, for drawings you just keep at home, this is a good method to use. Also, these are pretty cheap too. I think this was about $1.50 or $1. I will put the links to these tools to Amazon, so you can have a look and buy them on Amazon if you want to. But you can also find them in your local art store. The second method is one I like very much, and that is to use a very small eraser. So this is my favorite small eraser. It's the Tombow Mono Zero eraser, and it has a 2.3mm tip, so very fine, very small. And what I always do is I cut off the tip to a very sharp point like this. I just do that with a knife. And that way you can draw in very small details, so you can erase very small details which I do quite often. So let's start by drawing some whiskers with the eraser. So the first thing you'll notice here is that it doesn't go as easy. So when the surface is already burnished, it's really hard to get the surface to be white again. So this is not the best method to use if you really want to get in white whiskers. So if you press really hard, you can get in some nice lines, but this tip will go dull pretty quickly as well, so you'll have to cut it quite often to get your line sharp again. So this is a good method to use, but not my favorite for burnished areas or for really dark surfaces. And let's try this now on this half. So this is the lighter half. And erasing lighter layers is easier. So this is way easier than this area. So it is possible to draw in whiskers with an eraser, but you'll have to make sure that your surface is not too dark and not too dense, and you won't get your whiskers to be really white again. So yeah, it's a good method, but not my favorite. So now let's move on to method number 3, and that is using this tool. And this is actually an embossing tool. I was searching for it everywhere here in my local art stores and in the online store I always shop, but I couldn't find it. But I looked in the sculpting section then, and I actually found it in the sculpting section. So if you have trouble finding this tool in the normal sections, in the drawing sections of your art store, look in the sculpting section and maybe you can find it there. So how do you use this tool? So what you do is you indent your paper before you actually start adding any color. So you draw in the whiskers first in your paper with this tool, and then when you start adding color on your drawing, these indents you just put in will stay white, because the colors won't get into those indents. So what you do is you draw the whiskers, push really hard, just drawing in a few of those whiskers like this. And then you take your pencil, and when you go over, these white lines appear. So that is super easy. You do have to make sure though that when you indent you draw in the lines right, because if you make a mistake it is kind of impossible to correct. So you do have to have quite a steady hand for this to work, but this is definitely my favorite out of these 3. So we have discussed 3 methods now. The white jelly roll pen by Sakura, this one, using the Tombow Mono0 eraser, or any other eraser, but this is my favorite eraser, and the embossing tool. So these are my favorite ways to draw whiskers. in colored pencil but also with graphite. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. Please share it around if you did. Also, don't forget to push the notification bell. My videos don't get into all your inboxes anymore. So please, if you want to stay updated with my videos, turn on the notifications and then you'll get a notification every time I upload. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and then I'll thank you for watching.